Are you struggling to choose the best light tennis racket? Well, wonder no more. I have tested them all and I'm here to give you my top 5 tennis rackets that weigh under 285 grams. Today I'm going to be taking you through my top 5 light tennis rackets. Now, light is obviously a relatively subjective term, so to give you a little bit more direction and clear direction, I'm talking about rackets that weigh less than 285 grams, or to be more precise, so 280 grams and below. So I'm discounting any of those sort of 285, 290 grams, which are on the lighter side, but I wouldn't classify as light rackets. Now, light rackets are important. They're often a great racket for stronger juniors as they move up through their age groups, as they're getting stronger, going to their first full-size rackets, then progressing up through weights, moving on to the more player frames. Equally, a lot of club players like a lighter racket, more maneuverable. You can get a quicker racket speed. It's more maneuverable, easier to serve with. There is some downside. It doesn't have that mass, doesn't have that swing weight to it because it's lighter. But lots of the rackets counteract that with a wider body, bigger sweet spot, maybe a bit stiffer to make it easy to access kind of power. And so when I'm deciding which ones I like, I'm looking for that. I'm looking for ones that not only are light and feel light and are nice and maneuverable like most are, but also, given that, do they still pack a punch? They're still able to support me and help me generate my own power, generate some spin, some touch and feel, kind of all round help to make sure that I'm picking the best racket possible. So I'm going to go through my top 5 so you don't have to. In at number 5, we have a surprising racket, one that I wouldn't have thought of for a long time, and it is the Technifiber Tempo. The whole range is very good and there's lots of lighter options, but the specific one I have here is the first full graphite one, which is the 255 gram version. So it's really light, and that's one of the reasons why I have it. Because it's so light, it really ticks the light box. And it's actually one of our top 5 selling rackets here in store. And there's a couple of reasons for that. One is obviously that people who are looking for a really light racket, there's not so many options. But second of all, it's been specifically designed for female players. It's actually a little bit shorter. The handle is a ½ an inch shorter than a standard length tennis racket, making it slightly more maneuverable, helping them shift the balance point slightly up. So like I was saying earlier, you get some good access to power from it. And it's still a proper quality frame, and the price point as well makes it a really nice sort of entry-level racket, full graphite, with some good spec. There's actually a new version just about to come out, same racket, new cosmetic, very similar to this. There's a little bit more teal in it, but a lovely addition into the list. The Technifiber Tempo, my 5th favorite light tennis racket. In at number 4, hailing from Japan, we have Yonex's V-Core, and obviously, because it's light, it's the V-Core 100L, which comes in, I'm just double checking, it is 280 grams. So obviously significantly heavier than that Tempo 255, but I would say the heaviest you could get and still classify as a light racket. Now the V-Core is Yonex's spin racket. This is its new cosmetic here in the sand beige, also available in scarlet. And the reason why this is in, because although it's Yonex's spin frame, in this 100 square inch version, it's actually just very playable. It's a real all-rounder. Yes, you can access some good spin, but it also packs quite a good punch. It feels like a really solid quality product when you feel it, and when you play with it, you get lots of good feedback. It's very comfortable, and that high quality really shines through. So if you're in the market for this sort of price and you're looking for a kind of all-round racket, maybe with a slight hint towards spin, then the V-Core 100L is going to be one you want to go with. I must at this point honourable mention another Yonex racket, which is the E-Zone 100L, which is similar spec, but obviously in the wider bodied E-Zone, so easier access to power. The reason why I prefer the V-Core is it's a little bit more responsive, a bit more maneuverable, a bit more controllable, and I don't think you lose too much power from it. Which is why I have the V-Core 100 on my list of top 5 light rackets. In at number 3, this was a close run thing with that V-Core 100L, and it is Wilson's Ultra 100L. And first, I think it's a really nice, great looking racket. The blues are really nice, kind of colour shifting, gives it kind of some purpley tones. But anyway, the reason why it's in here is not for its looks, although its looks are very good. It's Wilson's most powerful racket, it's its power franchise. But don't let that fool you into thinking it's really stiff and uncomfortable, because all the Wilson rackets have a really nice bend and flexing given them, and this is the 45 technology that they have invented, and it's in all of their new rackets. And what that means, if you have a kind of modern vertical swing, so you're generating a lot of spin, your racket speed's quite fast and long, a stiff racket tends to not work so well. And so the Wilson rackets are generally all kind of built for that style of play, and the Ultra is no different, but it's slightly stiffer than the others, especially in this lighter weight. You need that little bit more stability and structure in the racket because you don't have the mass behind you, and that's why the Ultra 100L I think is Wilson's best lighter racket, because that stiffness is required when you lose some of that weight. And the Wilson Ultra L really does that very nicely. You get kind of effortless power whilst feeling a good amount of control, because it suits that sort of more modern swing path. So third on my list, the Wilson Ultra L. In at number 2, I actually have 2. I don't know if this is allowed, but it's my own top 5, so I'm going to do it. And they are the Babolat Pure Drive Super Light, which I have here, and the Babolat Pure Drive Light, which looks exactly the same. Let's imagine it's there. The Super Light, 255 grams, the Light, 270 grams. So both light, the 255 Super Light, very light. And the reason why that's the one that I have here, but I could have easily used the Light as well, is it's just a proper racket with proper playability. It plays like its big brothers, if you like, and the Pure Drive team and the Pure Drive, and even to an extent the 98. It's stiff, it's powerful, it's forgiving, it's wide bodied, it's easy to use. But because of the lightness, it's quite maneuverable, so it's some of the things that Pure Drives tend to lack. This kind of gives it from its lightness. Yeah, you don't get that same weight behind your shots, but you're not going to get that in any of these rackets because of their weight. Those of you that know me know that I love a Pure Drive for those same reasons, that it's easy to access power, you can sort of shorten up your swing and defend with it, and it works really well. And similarly, like I was saying with the Ultra, when you have a lighter racket, having something a bit stiffer, and it's not going to get much stiffer than this, is going to help you generate some power still when you don't have that weight behind you. Now, lots of the brands, when they drop weights to this level, to 270 grams and 255 in this case, they'll strip out some of the bells and whistles, some of the technology, and they won't actually deliver the same quality product they do at the 280 gram, 300 grams and plus. Babolat do. It's the same quality, the same tech in all the rackets in the whole range and the whole family. It's just some of the weight stripped out, which is why the light rackets in the Babolat range are all very good. But my particular favourite, and why it's at number 2, is the Babolat Pure Drive Light or Super Light. In at number 1, endorsed by my favourite Italian tennis player, it is of course the Head Speed. But which one? Which one below 280 grams? There's some options. And the one that I have is the MPL. Now, much like the Babolat I was just talking about, Head in the MPL, the spec and the playability is similar to the MP, so similar to the Speed MP, but in that lighter weight. Guess what? The L stands for light. So at 280 grams, this Head Speed is so much fun. To the extent that I think it is the best light racket you can get, which is why it's my number 1, kind of obvious. So much maneuverability, you can throw it around, whip it around, you generate great amount of spin, gives you nice amounts of control, it packs a punch. It is just a great all-round tennis racket, especially for kind of, I'm thinking teenagers coming up, stepping up through weights, doing something that generally that modern kind of whippier, fast topspin shot, that kind of next gen forehand. This speed really suits a lot of those players. It's fun to use, it's easy to use, and if you were, for any reason, needed to drop down in weight, I would highly recommend giving the Speed MPL a go. Now I have a couple of honourable mentions to add to number 1. They didn't make my top 5, but they arguably could have. and that is the Boom MPL and the Extreme MPL. So both more head rackets in the same way. The speed is the best of the bunch, but they're very close. And we will be doing a comparison video soon when we have all the head range in the MPLs and in the MPs and in the Pros to try and really see what the differences are between them within the head range itself. But currently, the head speed MPL is my favorite light tennis racket and one that I'd be highly recommending for anyone looking for a 280 gram beast. So there you have it. That was my top 5 light tennis rackets. This was obviously my number 1, the lovely head speed MPL here. But as always, when you're picking tennis rackets, weight is super important. There's lots of reasons why you might think a lighter weight racket is correct, and there might be lots of reasons why you think a heavier one is correct. It's important to demo some, especially if you're unsure on weight, try some at different weights, and then once you've narrowed down your weight, then maybe go through some of the ones that I've suggested today. If you're in North London, you'd like to come visit us, we'd love to see you. So if you want to demo some rackets or get some advice, please come in. Equally, if you're anywhere else in the UK, you can always call us. And if you're further afield, send us either leave a comment on this video and we'll get back to you if we can, or send us a message on Instagram. We always like to help. So if you need any advice, please let us know. As always, if you haven't subscribed, we really appreciate when you do. Like and share the video, and we will see you on the next filming session. I was going to say video again, but I thought I can't say video twice in the same sentence, so I'm waffling. Goodbye.